Welcome to Head Wrecked, the show where we
Hey.
discuss the things that have wrecked our heads this week and try to make sense of it all. I'm your host, and with me as always is
CT, what's happening?
what's happening with you. If any of you lovely, lovely people out there, and I have to say thank you to our lovely listeners because we are getting loads, a lot more than I thought, a lot more than we thought. We all, who knew? Who knew people liked what we do? But if you do want to get in contact and tell us what is wrecking your head and all that sort of jazz, or even how we're doing or not doing, email is headisrect@gmail.com. Twitter, head_rect. Instagram, head_rect. We're on the Facebook and we're on all of those sorts of things. So hit us up. And I think CT is going to kick off with something super here, apparently.
I don't know if it's super or not, but it's definitely a head wrecking situation. And so I'm going to give it a specific example, but this example can occur across many different uh, areas of life, and you'll know what I mean when I start talking about it. It's just a quick one, really, but it's just a ridiculous thing people do. So we've been camping down in Wexford for the last couple of nights, and obviously it's mid-April.
You and your family,
Well,
not me and you.
not me and Julie. It's me and my family, my
Yeah,
two kids and my partner. We
yeah,
were camping down in Wexford, and it was like a quiet campsite. Well, it wasn't quiet. It was the campsite was quiet, because it's April, and it's like no holidays. I just took a week off work
mm,
and went down to Wexford. We had a great time, but we were the only. There was two camper vans away over in the camper van section, which was like a good bit away from us. And
yeah.
then we were in a tent. So
In
we
the
were in the
tent,
tent
yeah.
section and we were the only tent there. And so it's kind of the campsite was like split in three sections. So there was like, you went down and it was like a fork. So like there was one camper van section. Actually, it's four sections because there was, you went down the road and then it just forked off in four different directions.
Yeah,
On the left, the farthest left was like a camping section that was up on top of a hill that was really exposed. So we didn't camp there.
yeah.
Then below that, there was the camper van section. That was like a hard standing for camper vans. Then there was like a little road down to like a little walk down to a beach. And then on the other side of that, there was another camper van section. And then just slightly above that other one was the next camping section, right?
Right.
So we camped in the field on the right, and there was no camper vans in the camper van section beside us. And then over on the other side, way over there, there was two other camper vans parked there. Right, that was it when we arrived. Nobody else there.
Right. I'm starting to feel like I'm
Right.
kind of feeling giddy in myself. I have no idea where this is going to go.
So no, just over the next two nights, right? This happened twice. I couldn't believe what happened the second time, but it happened twice. The like in the camper van section near us, there was like a little like there was a little tiny fence and maybe like a half or 2 meter. Like you were very close to the camper van section, right?
Yeah.
But there was a massive camper van section, so it was really big. And twice, so the first time we got there, about 7 o'clock in the evening, a camper van pulled up. We were putting the kids to bed, and they parked like basically right beside us on the other side of the fence.
Right.
They had a massive section to like camera van, and they parked. They drove over and parked right beside us, so they're literally just we're on one side of the fence and they're there on the other. What are you doing that for?
I know. And why is that irritating? It shouldn't be, but it is.
Well,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
like I mean, well, it was irritating to go on with this is irritating. It happened again. Those people left. Then the following night, someone else done it again. It's irritating because we're going camping and we have a nice big field and it's just lovely. We can just do our own thing. And now, like, it's camping. So it's like we're all outside. You're literally 10 feet away from me now. Like,
Yeah, and all that's dividing you is a thin piece of material. Do you
yeah.
know?
And there's nobody else here. So it's not like there's loads of other noise that we can't hear. We could
Yeah.
hear
So you have to be quiet. You have
yeah,
to be all hush
now
hush and yeah.
the second people that came were fine. They didn't make much noise, but we were trying to put the kids down, all that sort of stuff. That was why it was extra head wrecking.
Hmm.
The first people, like they came parked up in their camper van, and they had a UK reg, and they parked up in the camper van at 7 o'clock in the evening, and so they'd probably just gotten off the ferry from Rosslare or
Hmm.
whatever. drove down, parked up, set up their thing, and then started watching the news inside their camper van.
The
And it's
Irish
just like,
news.
no, it was BBC News. And it was like a lovely sunset in like the west coast, or not the west, the east coast of Ireland. And like, or like down lovely coastline. Beautiful, the beautiful evening. And I was just like, A, like, why you come so close to me to watch BBC News? And B, like, why did you come on holidays here to watch BBC News in your camper van?
Look, I find that whole that's brilliant because it brings up so many things like public transport. It
Yes.
immediately brings that right. So you get on a train or a bus. We'll just stick with the bus because we all know that, and it's absolutely packed. You fucking sit where there's a seat. Doesn't matter where, whatever. You pile on. When it's not packed, you can kind of pick your seat, and for some reason you'll pick one with no one in it, even though it doesn't matter. You just want a seat.
Yeah.
But if there's like no one else on the bus and you're already on it, or you get on it and there's someone already on it, you don't sit in the same seat, which it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense really. But it's fine to do it when it's packed. But it is just weird to do it when there's no one else around. It's
Yeah.
weird. Why is it
100%.
weird? Because you're public anyway, so there's always a chance that you're going to be wedged against someone anyway. Do you know? Like, because if you
Yeah.
got to that campsite and the campsite was packed, you wouldn't have got to pick the nice location
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah.
anyway. Or you could have ended up being there surrounded by people anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But I know what you mean. It's like, oh, it's so head wrecking. Fucking go
Yeah.
somewhere else, will
It
you?
is. Yeah, it is interesting to go. Why is it head wrecking? Because yeah, when you put it that way, it's like I hadn't thought of that side, but it's definitely, and like that was exactly the other thing that I thought. It was like this is like when this happens when you're on the train or the bus
Yeah.
and it's empty, and it's someone and you have a nice, especially on like the Air North Iron trains, like you have the whole berth cabin to yourself. You
Yeah.
can have your and like you have your little four-seater thing to yourself. And if someone came and it's like, I'd go mad, I think, if someone came up and sat in the same thing as me. I've had it when they sit in the one opposite me, and even that annoys me a little bit
Yeah,
if it's
because you
empty.
sit diagonal, right? If you if
Yeah.
you do if you do want to sit at the table with, say, you want to do a bit of work or something on the train,
Yeah.
you don't sit right opposite the person if there's no one else. You sit diagonal, and then if someone comes in and needs to sit down, then you move in. We all get that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
there are rules that are unspoken.
It's an unspoken rule, precisely. But like, it'd be like if you're on like a Dublin bus upstairs. I mean, I'd actually shite myself if this happened to me. But imagine you're on like the Dublin bus. It's like 8 o'clock in the evening, and you're the only person upstairs in the Dublin bus. Someone comes up and sat beside you on the same seat. Like, just like,
You'd be like, what
what
the
would you
fuck?
do?
Yeah.
You just be like, oh, I'm getting murdered.
I'm
I'm
sorry, I'm getting
100%
off of
getting
my next
murdered.
stop. Like, we haven't left you. Yeah, I know. This is my
Yeah.
stop. God, do you
Although,
remember
in
the
fairness,
go on,
go
go
on.
on, go on, go on, go on, go on.
No, I was just going to say for me in Dublin bus, I'm pretty tall. Like, so I take up most of the seat because I have to, like,
Plus, you would only be sitting, you would never be sitting at the front, you'd be at the back so that you could look at messages and read messages over the shoulder of the people in front of you. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
actually, do you remember the old Dublin buses when they had the mirror for the driver to look up and they had the hole in the front
Oh,
just
no, I
underneath
don't
the
think I
kind of
know.
top windscreen, if you call it? There was like a mirror, so like a periscope kind of a thing that went up to a circular mirror in the roof so that the driver
Oh,
could see what
yes,
was going
actually,
on
yes, yes,
upstairs when
yes,
they
yes,
weren't
yes.
before CCTV. How bananas is that? And like you'd often sometimes hear on the speakerphone, like, could you remove your jacket from the mirror up top or whatever? Like someone would be putting a jacket on the front and accidentally, and so he's looking up at someone's fucking petticoat or jacket or something like it's so bananas. It's so alien.
Surely dangerous as
The
well.
good old times.
Like, he's staring upstairs, like, yeah.
Yeah, you should be staring ahead. But but
Mm.
uh, but that was that. But was that better when you think of it in a way, right? Because
Nah, it was all better back then, John. It's
it
all
was,
better.
it was.
It
But
was CCTV. That's the ruination of us all.
no, but if you think of it, because if there was something going on, that driver would have seen it and said straight away, lads, will you quit fucking shite? Stop what you're doing. Stop smoking because there's always people smoking up on the top of the bus. Or he'd stop and like stick his head up the stairs and go fucking get off or whatever. Whereas now it's just left to CCTV to deal with after the fact, which is
Good point. Yeah,
which is not very safe, I would have thought. But then you got to take
probably.
the life of the driver and safety, blah blah blah. But still, I don't know.
You have
Is
to take
have
the
we
life of
moved
the.
forward? Have we moved forward, gone from CCTV to mirrors or mirrors to CCTV? There we go.
Well,
Baby's 2 cents.
so no, that's good. That's good. I like where it's going because well, I think in some ways going forward, in some ways going backwards. It's a bit like a good old pokey pokey. Like,
And that's what it's
so
all about.
that's what it's like. No, what I don't like about CCTV, and like this is not something I've ever done, right? But
Okay, I immediately know you have. If someone says they haven't, they have.
no, I haven't. I haven't. But like, like you see at those places, like say there's an old abandoned like factory, right? There's like so I live in Carlow and there's the
Do
old
you
sugar
live
factory here.
in Scooby-Doo land? This old surrounded by abandoned factories. Where do you live?
I live in Carlow and there's the old sugar factory, right?
Right, right.
And it's a massive thing,
It's
massive
very
big
sweet living
premises.
next to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it closed 20 odd years ago now, and there's nothing done with it. But there's a big, cool looking tower that overlooks the river, and it's
Right.
like a massive, big area of land in there. And I'd love to go in and just have a spook about. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Have a snoop. Yeah. To
Yeah,
see
just go in and
just
just see. But you can't now because they got massive sign on saying like CCTV watched by blah blah blah. And it's kind of like I'm not going to
yeah,
do
but
anything.
who do
See,
you think? Do you really think now? I'd love, maybe I'm wrong, but do you really think someone is actively on a screen watching? Is someone breaking into the old sugar factory? Could they be? Couldn't
the
be.
old
You
sugar
know, or
factory.
whatever. Like, there's no way. Otherwise,
I don't
Scooby Doo
know.
would have never happened, right?
They didn't have CCTV in Scooby Doo. They wouldn't have needed them because they would have seen everyone putting their mouth on and off.
You just brought up a no. Oh, I'd just like to point out that CTE has always said that my segues are never a segue, but they are in my head, so we're just going to leave them as segues,
Right,
right?
okay. We don't think John knows what a segue is.
It's a thing you ride around on that
Yeah.
you lean left and right, isn't
Your man
it?
in Arrested Development.
um, uh, phones and movies. So we're just saying about Scooby-Doo and how, they didn't have CCTV. So they didn't have phones. It'd be very different now. They had a mobile phone, wouldn't it? Imagine
For
them
Scooby Doo.
capturing that. Scooby-Doo, Selma takes a picture of the ghost and then shows it to Fonzie or whoever the name of the other ones are. Scrappy and
Shaggy.
Scooby and Shaggy. Yeah, yeah. And they go, "What's your look? That's Selma. That's obviously someone in a blanket with the eyes cut out. He can see their legs. All right, end of story. Call the cops. It's clearly a murderer, not a ghost. End of Scooby Doo. We've
Yeah,
solved it.
yeah.
And I would have gotten
Because
away with it if it wasn't for your pesky cell phones."
yeah. That's like
Very different.
that's the plot line to pick apart in Scooby Doo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not the talking crime solving dog.
Yeah, fair enough. And the fact that the stoner drives the van. Yeah,
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 with his Scooby snacks.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it is funny. Even like movies
Yeah,
are
yeah.
different. I love a movie that's made now based in the 80s because it gets rid of all the potential plot holes that you can move around and because um the likes
Okay,
of
what
Stand By Me, right? Stand By Me. Now
oh great
they'd be
movie,
able to
yeah.
track the body of the boy that was hit
Oh
by the
yeah.
train. They'd take photos. Like there's so many things now that you could do then. That's why I love the likes of Stranger Things, the show, because it gives you so many allowances to be more elaborate and haunting and secretive because there were no means to kind of destroy the secrets then. That's what I love
Yeah, yeah.
about the old shows and shows based in olden times. There you go.
What what
Olden
what
times.
what other movies would review like would you ruin if they had phones in them? Well,
Oh,
like Titanic.
Shawshank. Imagine Shawshank. Someone sneaks in a little cell phone up their hoop. Can you imagine? It wouldn't be the only hole that'd be dug, let me tell you. Shawshank would be
Eh,
ruined if there were
so
phones.
what happened because what's his name? Andy Dufresne
Yeah.
just goes on TikTok all day rather than bothering to dig a hole.
Yeah, live on Facebook. Lads, come here, look at this hole I'm after digging.
That's just yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, I love Shawshank. That's great.
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Just because all of the volleyball scenes would be turned into some meme of a TikTok like they were now in the new one. But can you imagine if it was back then and Tom Cruise? He wouldn't be a Scientologist. He would have been in Playpen. Is Playpen for women? What's
I
Playboy's?
don't know. Playgirl?
Hustler. There you go. No. Is there not a Playboy for women? Or there
Yeah,
must be.
Playgirl, surely.
Is there? I don't know. I've
I'm just
never.
going out by the law of opposites.
Grinder. Grinder. But
I'd
yeah.
love to see how small Tom Cruise is. Not in that way. Just like
Speaking of Playboy,
speaking of Grinder.
is it true that in interviews and in movies, like he often is standing on something to lift him up,
Yeah, I've
and
heard that.
it doesn't show his legs, so they look like the same height. That's kind
Yeah,
of
I've heard
like the
that.
way Sesame Street do it.
But
And
surely
the
he's been on Graham
Muppets.
Norton, right?
Yeah, but he's sitting down. I mean,
Yeah,
I
but he
don't know
doesn't
if he's
walk
been
in a
on Graham
chair.
Norton
Or does he?
per se. I don't. I mean, look, I don't know, but that is another segue that's in my head is Muppets and that like what really
Graham
annoys
Norton.
me is
Are you calling Graham Norton a Muppet?
oh God, no, I love Graham. Oh, Graham's great,
Yeah,
isn't
Graham.
he? Yeah, he's great. He's great in Father Ted. The hide and seek episode
I do like Graham
in the
Norton. Very
caravan. Speaking of it, God, see, there's all segues here. There's all
much.
loops around to camping and you know CCTV and
Really beginning to wonder whether you know what a segue,
I
what that means. Like,
well now that you brought it up, so am I. No, that's one thing that always annoyed me with in the Muppets was that when the Muppet is talking to a human, they're usually really tall and high up on them to talk, obviously, so they can have like the visual image on the one screen when really they're a small Muppet. I'm like, how long are their legs? There you go. Have you seen the Muppet movie, the newer one, the newest two? They're so good. Your kids will love them. They're
no,
very
I
funny,
haven't. No, no, I haven't.
very funny. There's a lot of satire, a lot of
The Muppets are very
segues in
good.
them. No, they're very funny. Do have.
Are the ones done by your man? What's the name from Forgetting Sarah Marshall? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Very
he's
funny.
very good.
And the songs are done by um one of the guys from Flight of the Concords. I don't know if you know Flight of the
Oh
Concords.
yeah.
Yeah, so they're very good, very funny. Yeah, very funny songs. Anyway, there you go. No more segues for me
No more say.
till till I Google it.
I'm gonna segue back into something from last week we were talking about. Because it's
Okay,
just
well
it's
then you definitely don't know what segue means if you're if you're segueing back into something from last week. Go on.
remember you were talking about the Scientologists and you went to the Scientology thing and
Yeah.
the makes me think and that you were allowed into it, blah, and our GoFundMe page,
Yeah.
which is not live yet, but
Yeah.
just put it down again. And Freemasons and Freemasonry.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about that.
I don't
Because
know enough about it, only what I've learned from The Simpsons.
same, but I know that there are a lot of conspiracy theories around them. But yet you can go into like the big Freemasons place in Dublin.
Oh,
You can just walk
yes. I've
into it.
always wanted to go in. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just open. So I'm kind of like, is this like one of those actual conspiracies that people
Hiding in plain sight,
is
though, you
it
know.
could be, or is this just like a lazy conspiracy? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, Freemasons, yeah, Illuminati. And it's like, well, actually you can just go into their office in Dublin and ask them what it's about. Like,
But I'm sure, like, I mean, what society doesn't have secrecy in it? And like, again, it's kind of similar to what I was saying about the movies from years ago. Like, you could be secretive back then because there weren't ways for people to find out. So you could make up stuff, you could hide stuff easier before technology, before phones. So now maybe they have to hide in plain sight in a way, and you let you see what you see, which appeases the majority, but you're still not seeing what's going on behind closed doors, good or bad. Maybe. I don't know.
like when they,
Do
butcher each other and stuff like that.
they? I don't know.
I don't know. I
I
just
don't
can't
know.
imagine it. Like that's what there are like the conspiracy, like the worst conspiracies always end up eating somebody, don't they? Like,
I I don't know. I've never heard them before. That's a conspiracy theory if I've ever heard it.
No, I don't mean about Freemasons. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like conspiracy. There's that whole, with all that like Pizzagate stuff and all that Donald Trumpy stuff. Like QAnon and shit.
The what? What's Pizzagate?
It was Pizzagate.
Yeah. I,
Pizzagate was like QAnon and Donald Trump and MAGA, like make America, like those
yeah.
things.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, that was all that there was like this horde of baby eating pedophilic like lizard
Oh, yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
But
know what I
what's the
mean?
pizza thing though? I don't know that part of it though.
Because the pizza, it started that
Tell me the
like
pizza toppings weren't people. No?
no, the pizza, that it was all they were going on in pizza restaurants or like pizza places in America were covers for places where pedophilic satanic worship and stuff went on. Yeah, and
Real.
there's people who would like, it was like a big thing where they would go in and they'd like live stream themselves going in and like, you know, abusing the people working in the pizza joint, being like, "You're a horrible baby eating Satan worshiper." And it's like some spotty kid who's just doing their like
It's just
after
someone
school
who's
job.
TikTok and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So
I think I was very big on conspiracy theories years ago, like, and what kicked
in
all
like
that
I
off for me,
believe them way or like
yeah, but just interested in, like, I mean, I'm talking years and years ago when the X-Files first came out. That's what kind of kicked it all off for me, and the whole like UFO, American government, Area 51, uh, warfare technology and that kind of thing. And I got really into it then, and I still have some documents that I obtained through the Freedom of Information Act from the CIA about like
what?
um
Oh yeah,
yeah
that black SUV's back outside my house again,
no
John.
yeah, no yeah yeah no it's like true freedom. I remember I can't remember what the magazine was. I think it was called X Factor, but not like the X Factor as we know. It was like a play on X Files, and it was like the X Factor, and it was all stuff like X Filey stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it said freedom of information. Here's a sample of a letter you can send to the FBI or the CIA if you want to find out about something. And I remember I sent a letter to the FBI and asking them about Area 51, and I got a letter back saying, no, we've no record of blah, 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 blah. And then I asked him about, I think it was microwave technology, warfare weapons or something. And I got back this cool document with like loads of black. I still have it. It's up in the attic, censored over, like really interesting, like photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy kind of a thing. Fascinating. My mom lost her shit. She was like, fucking hell, we're going to have the FBI
Oh
on our
my
house. And she was
god.
panicking because this big package came in the post from like, they had like CIA on it and everything. She was like, what are you after doing? You're not watching
That is
files
mad.
anymore. But yeah, I still have it. It's fascinating.
That
Um,
I'd love to see that.
and
That is that is
you
I was
can like, it's true freedom of information, so you can acquire it yourself, but obviously stuff is censored in it as well. But it was all about like microwave um
so what is microwave
testing
technology
of
warfare?
stuff like that, and like sound waves. Like I mean, you've heard of the brown note. I don't know if this is in it, but like this
No.
is something I've heard. So the brown note, there's a note that a key that can be played through a speaker that makes you shit your pants. Basically,
Wow.
it's whatever frequency that makes you shit your pants. It's called the brown note. And then there's also the technology evolved into these speakers, and again, it's all about frequency. That we'll say like there's an area where um unwanted reside all the time, like teenagers messing and all that kind of
Oh,
thing. You
like the
can play
asphalt,
that,
like
yeah, that
they
you
do that
can
in the
play
UK,
this
yeah.
frequency to get rid of them, basically.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But like the army can use that to like make people like fall down and die in war and all this kind of weird stuff. Like it was fascinating.
Jesus.
Yeah, really, really. And the testing it on animals, and there was pictures and stuff. It was cool. It was cool. I mean, I was 14, 15, 16, something like that when I got it. So I was like mad into it. This is the coolest thing ever, ever, you know?
That is mad. And like that is so like see, this is the thing with conspiracy theories. It's like I almost feel like they've been kind of ruined by conspiracy theorists. If you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the ability to push stuff out there on the internet and all that kind of thing with your ideas, which people see as fact when it's not. It's just an
It's just
idea or a thought or someone pushing shite out there.
yeah, because there's loads of stuff that when you look at it, like and this is just stuff in plain sight. And it's just
Mm,
like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Like that's kind of like, and it's like that's like, oh, they're covering up something there. Like you
mm.
know what I mean? Like because and usually there's money involved, and it's like that's a conspiracy. You know what I mean? And there's so much of them that there are that it's like we don't need to really make up ones. Like, and it's just like like the whole flat Earth thing,
I was just going to
right?
ask you about, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so flat Earth thing, right? This is the big thing with the flat Earth thing for me. It's like people go so mad about like like say it's true, right? Say it's a flat Earth.
Yeah.
Why lie about it? Who benefits from the lie?
Yeah,
It's
they always
like
say they're
why?
covering who? Like who
Like,
is the they that's
but like
covering stuff up? But like why? Like
why would they bother lying about? I can get why if they like I don't know like done some dodgy military shit somewhere or like some horrible financial crimes or some balls that they'd cover it up because like oh
yeah.
we'll go to jail like but it's like if the earth's flat like what difference does it make like it's
I
round doesn't make any difference to me
I
like you
know,
know what
and
I mean
I love the flat earth theory, right? Yeah, it doesn't make a difference to me, but I love the fact that years ago, thousands of years ago, everyone thought the world was flat, and then it turned out it's round, and there's still people that believe it's flat. But then there's a part of me that goes, science can be wrong sometimes. What? They're like there's the smallest point of a percentage that kind of goes, well, do you know what? I've never been in space. I've only ever seen what I've been shown, so maybe it is. I don't know. I in myself can't definitively say that it is flat or isn't flat. But I tell you, there's a fantastic uh, documentary on Netflix. Have you seen that about flat earthers?
no no
I think it's called Beyond the Curve or Behind the Curve. It's very, very good and worthy of its own episode, to be honest. Look at the guy.
no
It's very, I can't. He's just so neurotic and a little bit crazy and a little bit eccentric, and he still lives with his mom. And then it's very entertaining. But the pinnacle of that movie is the end when they finally you're like just do an experiment to see if it's real or not. And they do an experiment. And it doesn't turn out the way they want it to, and they're like, "Oh, the calibration must be all wrong." And like, it's just very good. You need to look at it. It's
yeah
really,
okay
really good.
yeah yeah do you almost end up feeling sorry for them
Uh, I do for the main guy because I can't think of his name, but he actually it feels like he's more into his stardom as this kind of flat Earth guru than
yeah
actually.
yeah
And he lives with his mom, and then they asked him, "Do you believe?" And she's like, "Well, like she basically says she doesn't, but doesn't say that." Because she doesn't want
yeah
to annoy her. Like
oh
it's
god
funny. It's well
painful
worth a
funny
watch. Worth a
yeah
watch. Um,
I just got the conspiracy theory, like, and you mentioned aliens. I met a lad. There used to be a lad years ago. He in Carlo actually, but this was before I lived in Carlo. But he went around carrying a big folder. Um, and this he went around carrying a big folder because he claimed that he was abducted by aliens and probed, and that there was a massive cover up about aliens, and he carried this folder around with him
what was in the
with
folder?
all it was all the research and proof of the alien cover up that he had. But it just I felt sorry for him because he was. I mean,
This was years
oh,
ago, like obviously.
this is
Like,
like I'd say 10 years ago, maybe most. Like,
well,
and
he's
he was
probably moved to
like,
the internet now, and I'd say is a fascinating channel.
yeah,
I'd love to see it.
yeah, probably, yeah, he probably has it. But it's just funny because it's like it's the problem with conspiracy theorists is that like you just make yourself look crazy. You
Yeah.
walk around with a giant folder of all the proof you have of aliens, and it's like, huh, you're not crazy at
I
all.
know.
Like,
I know. I know. I know. But that is
but
science,
like,
isn't it? It's like
but imagine you did get abducted by aliens and they probed you and nobody believed you. Like, like what would you do? Like, you'd
yeah,
have to try and prove it to people.
I
And the
know.
more you try to prove it, the more crazy you'd look.
Well, look, I mean, it's the same with ghosts. I don't I've had ghostly things happen to me in the past. I'm not making it up. I have. And my family can attest to that because they know the story that I'll always bring up is like a book flying through the window and from nowhere and stuff. And that's a whole other podcast.
Oh,
But I was in
yeah.
the loo, I was washing my hands, and all of a sudden I turned around and a book came through the net curtain and narrowly missed my head. One of those really ancient kind of hardback books that you would see in a library that are 100 years old landed in the sink. I immediately ran out of the sitting room and called everyone. And when they all followed me down, the book was gone. But it happened. I didn't make it up. They remember how freaked out I was. We lived in a haunted house at the time, or so everyone told us. So that happened. Like, and I can't
Yeah, yeah,
explain
yeah.
it. I can't explain it. It was on a first floor window that like I can't explain it.
That's
So
like an
like
experience that you haven't. I can tell by you, you're not like you're
no,
just
I'm not.
talking about that. Like, yeah,
No, no, I'm not
like,
making
like,
it up.
like
Like
a
it was
memory,
just
like
like
when
it was a memory that happened. And like ask anyone in my family, they'll probably like, oh yeah, remember that? Remember when he was freaking out that day or whatever. But again, science can be wrong sometimes, can't it?
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
conspiracy theories can sometimes become reality. I'm trying to think of one that would have.
Like I just on the ghost thing, like it's kind of funny. I know kind of running out of time, but they were just like, yeah, it is. I believe you on that because we had funny stuff happen to us in our fundraiser jobs. We used to travel around the country and we lived in different houses, and there was this one house we'd always go back to, and people were always saying it was haunted.
Mm,
And I had actually had funny experiences there before, but never put two and two together.
yeah,
But then went back there once, and one of the girls was complaining that they brought us back to his house because she'd asked for there was not people back there because it was haunted. And I was like, bullshit, it's not haunted, yada yada yada.
yeah.
And then there were loads of different stories, but I'll just give you two. So this time, so she was like, so because it was like the Monday we got back from work, and she got back to the house, and she was like, "Fuck's sake, I locked this door when he left the house, and now it's open. House is haunted." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever. Like that's bullshit." So
Yeah.
then the next day, she was like, "I'm telling you." So then the next day, she's like, "You locked the door today," and I did, and then I came back and it wasn't locked, and I was a bit like, "All right, that is kind of weird," but like
Yeah.
there's definitely loads of possible explanation. Maybe the
Yeah.
landlady came around,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that. Um, Later on that night, we're all downstairs in the sitting room, and one of the girls is upstairs, um, in the shower, and we were watching telly, and then when next thing we heard, just hear this massive scream. She screamed, and we all ran out, and she's on the landing in the upstairs, and the door for the attic was swinging open,
Mm.
and she was like up against the wall, like screaming, like petrified. And we were like, "What happened?" And she said she was walking past just under that, and she said the door just swung down really violently
Oh,
at her,
stop. You're giving me the
and she had.
heebie-jeebies now.
I know I'm getting. I'm sitting in a dark
I
room as
know.
well.
I
Oh
know.
Jesus
Yeah, I'm just
Christ!
looking behind you going,
And
oh.
then everyone was like, "What the fuck?" And then me, still being a little skeptic, was like,
Oh,
oh,
you didn't get up in the attic, did you?
no, I just had to close it. Everyone was
Oh,
there, and I
thank
was
God.
terrified. I had to close it, and then
Oh,
I was, but in my head, I'm still like, maybe it was
yeah,
loose.
but you still have the
Yeah,
shits. Yeah,
I
it's
put
it's
it
like
up.
when you're young and you're getting into bed and like you're
But
afraid of the monster under the bed.
I went to close it, and when I closed it, I was like, seeing the lock and the latch on. I was like, there's no the design of it. There was no way this thing just it couldn't have been
I
half
know.
closed. Do you
I
know what I
actually
mean?
feel sick. I feel sick. I just feel
It's
sick because
horrible, isn't it?
I can
Oh
see the
God.
light is not on in the hall when I leave here.
I know. I'm in a dark room now. I was
And this is the
uh,
thing. I don't know what I do and don't believe in, but I do know when things fucking freak me out. And this is one of them.
John, I'm not that poster behind you just moved.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck right off. Which one? The Squid Game one?
The one with the blood seeping off it.
Oh, that one. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have one with blood. You fucking. Oh God. Yeah, but this is the thing, right? In a year's time, there could be definitive proof that will prove things like this. This is the thing about science and the progression of science. Like black holes weren't a thing, now they are. Do you know white holes weren't a thing, now they are. Do you
But there
know?
is also there is like but there's your own eyes as well. We don't need science to prove some stuff to us as well, you know. And like as you said, like I mean, yeah, you're right. Like science does always change. That's the nature of science. But sometimes you have to just be like that fucking like that thing with the book with you. That just fucking happened, you know.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
It absolutely did. I remember there was a face cloth in the sink, and I remember the way it landed on it and kind of toppled over, like the wet of the face cloth was like left on the cover and stuff. It was green. It was like a dark green color.
Do you remember what
And
the name of the book was?
the name of the book was That's the End of the Podcast. No, I don't. I didn't stay around that long. I ran. I fucking
Yeah, fair
scarpered.
enough.
And on that note, we need to scarper.
Right.
I've truly, my
Because
head
we're
was
both
wrecked originally, and
terrified.
yeah, my head is wrecked. My head is not wrecked, but I'm fucking trembling. You've been great again, as usual. Send us your ghostly stories at headiswrecked@gmail.com, on Twitter, head_wrecked, Instagram, head_wrecked, and we're on Facebook, and all of that. We'd love to hear from you. Talk to you next week. Bye.
See
Love
you
you.
next week.
Love you. Bye.
I mean, you can edit it out if I keep talking, right?
Now I'm not.